You're listening to Real Estate for Real People, hosted by the Stone Sisters. The Stone Sisters have built an award-winning realty business, and they're here to share some of their knowledge with you. A new episode drops every Thursday. If you enjoy the show, please share it with a friend and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And visit www.stonesisters.com for more information just like this.
Hi again, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Real Estate for Real People. We are really looking forward to our guest today, who's going to share some fabulous insights and a bit of an inside look into what's coming down the pipes in Kelowna. So we're sitting with the president of the Mission Group, probably Kelowna's best respected, maybe the interior of British Columbia's best respected development group, Randy Shier. So thank you so much for coming and giving us some time. We know how busy you are, so we're really grateful.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, we're so excited. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, the development, where Mission Group came from. We've known each other for, years. Mm-hmm. I don't know, 12
17?
years? Maybe 17.
It's longer. It's right when you got in the business.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a long time. But some of the history, because people won't know the pillars of the Mission Group.
Well, and I think you originally had projects in Abbotsford. Do I have that right? Or somewhere down in Vancouver and then moved up here, right?
Yeah.
So you fill us in before
Sure. So Mission Group was really founded and started in 2004. The vision came in 2003 with 4 friends, one from Calgary, one from Kelowna, and 2 from Vancouver. And I was one of the ones from Vancouver. And John Friesen, who is from Kelowna, he had started a development company and thought to himself, I'm just doing sort of a project at a time, and wouldn't it be great if I could bring some friends in and we'll partner and we'll do something together. It was really a good time for all of us because we were in our early 40s and you're sort of at a mid-career point where you've got a lot of experience, but you still have a good runway of things ahead. So so we got together, and today, 17 years later, there are the same original shareholders are all part of the company.
Wow.
We have some new shareholders. When we began, the original 4 were involved in management. Now only 2 are. So what we have become over time is really a legacy company in that Mission Group will live beyond the lifetimes of the original shareholders. As we're seeing that the importance, and we have a board of directors. Yeah. And we're just going to continue to make an impact here in Kelowna and elsewhere.
Wow. That's amazing.
Love that.
So how many employees do you have? How big is Mission Group?
So we've grown to 90 employees.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're quite unique in that we're vertically integrated as a company. And what I mean by that is we do our own construction. We organize, we have a development department, accounting and finance, which most companies would have those, but we also do our own marketing.
Yes.
And our own sales. So we have in-house salespeople that work for us and they represent Mission Group. And of course, we fully cooperate with the real estate
you guys have been
great.
great.
You always do.
Because we need realtors as well as part on the team. And so sales, marketing, and we do property management as well. So the buildings that we build and keep, we manage ourselves.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then now location-wise, so, whereabouts are you? We know you're here in Kelowna, but are you in other markets as well?
Yes. Well, we have, for the last 17 years, we have been predominantly in the city of Kelowna. And that's where the bulk of our work is. We've also done projects in Vancouver. I think you mentioned an Abbotsford project. We've done projects in Coquitlam, in the city of Vancouver. We're looking in Richmond right now. So we've been active in there, but not, I would say 90% of what we do is in the city of Kelowna. We just recently moved in Penticton, and we're building.
I didn't know that.
We're building an 80-unit rental apartment. It'll be ready for occupancy this fall. And for those of your listeners who know Penticton, it's right by Bad Tattoo and Neighborhood Brewing and the Bike Barn. It's like 2 blocks from Main Street,
location.
2 blocks from the beach.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It's great location, yeah.
And those will all be rented out.
They'll all be rental, yes. Yeah, so as a company, probably 6 or 7 years ago, we decided if we are going to be a legacy company that will live beyond our lifetime, we should be building a rental portfolio that will, provide another opportunity for people to choose to live. They don't have to buy; they can actually rent. So
I like that.
I love
and there's
that.
a huge shortage, I think, around the country, certainly in North America, the world, where we have a housing shortage, and certainly the availability of properties to rent, there's very, very little. So it's filling a big need that.
It's a great way to give back to the communities that you're in. So I love that. That's great. So tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you have here. I mean, you've done Amber Hill, you've done the Verve,
Mission Shores.
Yeah. And now we have Aqua coming and we've got, there's so many. So tell us, is there any of those that are your favorite? Is there one that sticks in mind that?
I'll tell you a little story about Verve because I think it's quite interesting, and it gives an indication of the kind of thinking that Mission Group has. So when we first come here, and we're looking at properties, we always start with the question, who would be the buyer? Who would be the renter? Who would be the right person for this? And we saw that for a multifamily apartment buildings, which is predominantly what we build, wood frame and concrete, that the two markets back in 2004 that were well served were the retirement market, people that are downsizing into apartments and, single little old ladies, or the resort, people who are vacation homes. And those were the apartments. But no, everybody was ignoring younger buyers who don't necessarily want to own a home. Hey, let's go live in a condo and apartment. So
and this is at a time when UBC Okanagan had taken over. Is that correct? What year was the Verve built?
I think it was a bit before. Oh, no, it was right around the same time.
It was around the same time. I think 05 UBC was announced.
And I remember looking at the Verve, first seeing, the condos. And we'd had, as you're saying, Randy, we had seniors buildings, 55 and up, and they had peach carpet and green countertops and the vacation properties, pardon me. And I remember seeing the Verve because they were very affordable. You had the volleyball court, you had the swimming pool, you had dog spaces, and even the ground floor units had a little area for dog, which was absolutely unheard of. We don't see much of that in town to this day. But then inside, they had granite. They had beautiful light fixtures. They had smart, functional floor plans to appeal to a young couple, to a university student.
Even some families, like we've had some families that have lived in there. So it really kind of probably morphed into more than just that student or that first time buyer or what have you. I mean, I remember, so Verve going back is right when I got into the business. I think it was maybe within the same year or two or so. And I remember talking to my parents and saying, we should really buy one of these. I don't know if you remember. And it was the first building. I still remember the unit. It was one of the first ones on the third floor. Anyway, and I really tried to convince them to buy it. And I think they looked at me like, Shannon, you want to buy this? You're new in real estate. I don't know if you're going to survive in real estate. So I don't know if you should do this. But it was so forward thinking, and now look.
And yet also such a great example of truly understanding the demographic of who the market was and how to fill that niche. I mean, to me, it's an extraordinary example of, when it was built and today. Go hang around the volleyball net, go look in the pool, and you get a few, 70-year-olds who just love the vitality and energy of a primarily young person's development. But I think it still stands well and stands proudly.
Oftentimes when we look at a new piece of property and start imagining it, we also think of the greater market. And if everybody's doing this, we want to do that.
Yes.
I love that.
We don't want to follow trends or follow, we really want to lead and find niche markets that we can provide a good housing offering for people, because people are looking for choice.
Yes.
And in this market, it's as prices have increased, it's harder and harder for people to buy into the market, which is why multifamily is such an important part. Aqua is an example, and here we have a tower, three towers, sorry.
Right.
And for the first tower is under construction right now. We sold that last summer, and it sold out. Towers 2 and 3 are not under construction yet. We just began selling about in July, and we're 50% sold. We sold $160 million worth of real estate
Wow.
in a market that's softened. I mean, it's softer.
Definitely.
And what's so fascinating is that people, particularly at the higher end, we've sold most of our $3 and $4 million lakefront homes and penthouses and everything else. And our initial price point homes, starting at $500,000, like our price leader is still available.
Well, one of our agents brought a buyer for one of the penthouses, and they were thrilled to get the one they did, but I don't even think it was the first choice.
No, it wasn't. They didn't get the first one.
There were multiple people who wanted that
Well, the
unit.
thing is, buyers at that level it's a legacy thing, and the completion is not till early 2026.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, well, what's the value going to be like in 2026?
Absolutely.
Yes, it may be soft now. It may be even softer a little or next spring. Who knows? I don't know. But, they're looking for a long-term place that they can create memories for their families and their friends and just have a place that is irreplaceable. I mean, there has not been a concrete high-rise resort on the water built, I think, since the 80s, and this is the Lower Mission, arguably the best neighborhood in the city.
Yeah. Tell us about some of the amenities, because there were shock waves that went around, and you guys acquired the land a long time ago. This was years in the making and the development, right?
Exactly. Well, okay, amenities. Probably the biggest amenity, the number one, is, of course, 400 feet of waterfront. Yeah. So it's a
and probably
for
those of you who aren't familiar with where Aqua is, it's next door to the Eldorado Hotel. Probably the nicest beachfront, in my opinion, in all of the central Okanagan. It is gorgeous. You've got phenomenal exposure down south. You get great mountain views. You see sunsets. You can walk to all kinds of restaurants and shops. You guys are going to have some shops and restaurants.
Yeah, it's right in the flats right there. So the location doesn't get any better, I don't think. So
No, in fact, so let me just tell you about some of the amenities.
Love it.
So probably the biggest thing that no one else can really duplicate is we have a boat, valet, and storage on site. So if you drive by right now, you'll see a big steel structure that's being built, and that is the boat storage. There'll be 200 boats in there.
Wow.
And, included in that facility, you've got, you don't have to own a boat. You can be part of the boat club. And we have a great selection of Mastercraft ski nautiques and cobalts, cruisers and surf boats that people can use, but they don't have to have the ownership. It's just club membership.
It's amazing.
Makes so much sense. I mean, there's, a saying that the best day of a boat owner's life is the day they buy the boat, and the second best day is the day they sell the boat, because they don't really use them enough to justify the $300,000+ price tag that comes with some of these ski boats.
So to be able to rent one or own a share in one is amazing. And the convenience of it right there.
Yeah.
Now, I was out for a run. When did you do the concrete pour? Was that the biggest concrete pour in Kelowna's history?
2,400 square meters, I think, was what it was.
I've never seen anything like it. And I'd gone out for a run and I didn't have my camera. And I counted 36, I think it was, cement trucks. Yeah. 2 different companies, maybe more, like every cement truck in the interior.
We had to get permission from the city to begin construction prior to when you're allowed to begin construction. I think we started at 5 a.m. and went till 7 p.m. So during the noise bylaw doesn't necessarily allow you to do that, but we got permission for one day, and we bought all the concrete from all the concrete companies in town. And it was a continual pour all day long.
I've never seen it as far as the eye could see. There were cement trucks, and the workers were there. We'd gone out for a run past and stopped and chatted with a couple of people, and there was this happy, excited atmosphere. I so wished I'd had a camera.
It would have been great to get a time slot on that, like showing the concrete being poured all day is.
But I think it speaks to the mission group and the fact that you can pull something like that off, be that organized, and have the timing, have everything set ahead of time, because there's a lot of prep that goes into being ready to pour.
That's a good point. And have it done in a day. Like,
it was phenomenal.
What development can do that? So,
well, we have an amazing in-house construction team, and kudos to them, because they organized the whole thing. It
was amazing.
As president of the company, I don't really do too much other than oversee
don't tell anybody that. Take the credit.
You're the visionary. But no, we keep interrupting you. Keep going with the amenities.
So Aqua, okay, other than the valet, we have and this is in towers 2 and 3. So this is the 2 waterfront towers. And tower 1 in the back has their own amenities. So they're not shared with the waterfront. So this is exclusive to the waterfront home. So we have a 2-level expansive gym facility.
2-level, wow.
2 levels. On the amenity deck, which is the 5th floor, we have a big outdoor pool, 2 hot tubs, a cold plunge pool, all sorts of lounge seating and fire tables. Also on that level, we have an indoor kitchen and lounge. We have a yoga room, a meditation room, an indoor golf simulator room so you can practice your golf swing.
Wow.
We have a lobby with a fireside wine tasting lounge that can be locked off for events and guests or booked by owners. There'll be concierge services in the lobby that's built into the strata fee. And for pet lovers, we've got a pet wash. It's very pet friendly. For bike lovers, we have bike storage. We have a bike maintenance room and a bike wash as well. That's not all. There's more. We have smart parcel delivery lockers for couriers.
Wow, I love
that. So
that.
when they come to the apartment lobby, they can get in. They can put it in a box, notify the owner via text. We have that at Ella where we live, so it works fantastic.
Yeah, it's important. It's really, really
my
important.
My wife loves it because she loves Amazon.
We all love Amazon, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
And of course, you've got, right nearby, or actually in the development, we have a 2-level, 7,000 square foot restaurant space on the waterfront.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
We haven't signed, I can't announce anything, but we have lots of interest from restaurateurs that want to be in that location.
I bet, yeah.
Shop services that are being added. And then, of course, it's in a great neighborhood. You got the Mission Creek Greenway right there. Mm-hmm. Like you can just walk to that. You can walk to the beach. You got all the amenities around it. So it's just a great, fantastic location. So my wife and I have bought in there with one of our kids. They're from Vancouver and they want to be in there. But it's such a great opportunity for people to own waterfront for $500,000.
Yes.
Where can you buy waterfront?
Yeah.
Now that'll be a 1-bedroom and the 2 bedrooms are a little bit more. But if you can have a nice spot like that with all those amenities for yourself, and when you're not using it, you can choose to keep it empty. But because it's a vacation rental location that the zoning allows, you can do weekly rentals. We have.
I like that.
Normally, the zone would allow nightly rentals, but we didn't want this to become a gong show for residents. This is a very high-end, 5-star luxury offering. So we don't want the bachelorette parties and we don't want
the
any of
weekend
that.
groups.
Weekend groups. So it's a minimum 1-week rental. So that's really going to limit it to families and coming and being part of it because it's just such a great place. So. Aqua is something we're very, very excited about. It's a long time coming, and
it's amazing. Honestly, as you talked about having your legacy, I think to buy something for $500,000, or if you wanted a 2-bedroom, bit more, but to have a legacy that you can have with your family and then pass that on to your family. Your kids can then come and use it, and you have that piece of the Okanagan that becomes your family's vacation spot. I think is amazing. I mean, that's. Ultimately, who wouldn't want that from, but it's pretty incredible. And the foresight, it's something that we tend to see. And I know, I'm at fault for it a lot of times is we think with our blinders on a little bit, we think kind of like a Kelownian, sometimes we don't look beyond Kelowna and we sort of think in this small time mentality a little bit. And I only speak for myself, I was born and raised here. So sometimes you sort of think, well, this is Kelowna. We don't do that. We don't, our roads are fine, or, our pricing is this because it's just little Kelowna. Meanwhile, you take those blinders off and you look at our gorgeous lake, you look at all the wineries we have, you look at our airport that we have that's an international airport, the universities, the high-tech industry, the aviation industry. I mean, Kelowna is on the map now and it's only going to grow, I think. So it's time for me to take my blinders off and see that. And it's nice to see Mission Group obviously did a long time ago. So yeah,
definitely. No, it's a really exciting project.
Aqua has been recognized by the market nationally, not just locally. And while most of the buyers are local, and people most of the buyers are local, and they
understand the value of owning on the lake.
Yeah, they either will live there full time, or maybe they'll live there half time, and it's a retirement place, and they go south in the wintertime. or it's a second home where they can vacation and then rent out as well. So they're going to use it, but they're also going to potentially rent it out for income to pay all your costs, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's a really great opportunity. We're very, very excited. And it's, again, like I said, it's early 2026. So to have the vision to buy ahead of that it's hard for most people to get their head around. Most people want to think of the now, but it's good to think about next steps.
Well, and you look at the trends in the market too. I mean, we were talking about this earlier, is, when we see, yes, we're in a market that's changed. It's a transitional market. So in March, we were at the peak of the market. It has certainly changed now. And, where will are we at the part of the bottom of the market? We don't know, but we won't know that until the market starts going back up. So, but in 5 years' time from here, 4 years' time, 3 years' time, we're not going to be sitting in the market today. Guaranteed, when we look at the stats in past years, the market and the prices has always gone up.
Well, and I even look at, Kelowna being on the map, Aqua, developments like that help put us on the map. We travel. We go to Ontario. We've gone to Vancouver, Alberta for years. We started traveling and going to Toronto. And when we first started going, what would it have been, 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah.
People would say, now, where's Kelowna? And you'd say, okay, well, have you heard of Big White? Okay, Vancouver, Calgary, we're in between that. We were just in Toronto, and everybody knows Kelowna has become a household name. And the number of people that we've had who say, oh, I know right where that is. I'd like to be there.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. It's not even, it's I'm going to be there one day. And, why not buy a piece of it now? Because by the time they're ready, it will be ready for them. But it is interesting of where we're seeing these buyers come from. When it's us in the industry, we see them coming from all over. Interesting that you're a lot local.
Yeah, I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a lot from Alberta and Vancouver.
Yes.
And of course, nationally, I mean, NHL hockey players are the higher end homes and CEOs of large companies. So it's not surprising. I mean, Toronto and even Montreal has discovered Kelowna because we've sold pre-sold condos to people from Montreal who, in their mind, they're going, okay, well, I want a landing spot. And I may move here when it's ready, or I may move here 5 years after that, but I'd like to get something now.
I agree.
And so that's sort of the thinking that happens in pre-sale.
Yeah.
And
so what's your thoughts, jumping from that? I mean, a lot of planning goes into when you look at developments, like Aqua, like any of these that are coming to the market that you plan well in advance. What are your forecasting for the market? I'm sure as a company, you guys look at that and say, okay, where do we see the market? We're in a downward trend right now. What do you see?
Yeah, so I think typical real estate markets usually have about an 18-month cycle. Now, this may be shorter, maybe longer. I mean, 2008 was much longer than 18 months.
You're right.
And other times have been shorter. So I think it could be slow for the next little bit. But you have to look at the long term. If we only made short-term decisions, we wouldn't make the right choice.
Well, and we tend to be insulated here somewhat, looking at, and I've been selling here since 95. And I think
you started when you were 2?
4. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, honey. I love you.
Yep, you're welcome.
But through the different ups and downs that we've had, the different cycles, we don't tend to drop off like they've seen in Calgary. Even some of the big drops that you saw, they were short-lived, but big drops in Vancouver or what have you. I think a lot of people look and say, okay, well, this is where I want to be. This is a place where I can see myself living the rest of my days and, mild winters and a lot of good amenities and important things for people.
What's interesting is the statistics are clear, right? Regardless of interest rates, people want to live here.
Yes.
And why was Kelowna the fastest growing city in Canada for the last 5 years? Well, you mentioned, exactly, Shannon, why, talking about the hospital, the airport, the beaches, the four season playground.
Yeah. Peaches, beaches.
Yeah, exactly. And, I don't think we give enough credit to UBC.
I would agree.
Because UBC is, well, first of all, they're moving downtown, and that'll be downtown has changed, and it's going to change even more as they move 2 of their faculties downtown and start construction this year or early next year on their big academic building downtown.
Yep.
But UBC is ranked number 2 university in the country. and they consistently make the top 20 globally. So they are an institution that is global brand. At Kelowna here, there's over 100 countries represented by foreign students.
Wow.
So these foreign students come here, they expose Kelowna, and guess what? You walk around downtown in the summertime, and you will hear every language.
I love
as much as English. People talking because they're tourists that are coming. They're telling their families, "Hey, you come to Kelowna. It's a great place."
It's magical. It's sort of like, to me, and I lived here my whole life. Moved here when I was a little kid, 2 years old. It's sort of like what you picture in movies or fairy tales or what have you. And yes, we've got we have a homeless situation here, which I was just in Victoria. You certainly see it there. We're seeing it everywhere. Do we have some petty crime? 100%. Are there some bad people who live here? Yep. Or they holiday here because it's a nice place to be. But it's, when we look at all the amenities, when we look at what we've got, this is hard to beat. This is really hard to beat. Tell us about moving from the Upper Mission, because I know some of our listeners are in your shoes or want to be in your shoes in the coming years. But you built a magnificent home in the Upper Mission and decided that it was time to not only leave that area and come downtown, but go into a condo.
By the way, thank you for selling it for me.
Yeah. Thank you for picking us.
Yes. 4,200 square feet. And now we've downsized into an apartment in one of our own buildings into Ella.
I love Ella.
Now it's one of the 4 penthouses, so it's still quite spacious, but kind of half the size of what we had before. And we weren't sure if we would like it, which is why we didn't list our home until after we had moved in and lived there for a while. And then we decided no, we love it. So it took us about 2 weeks.
That's it.
Absolutely fall in love with downtown. And we're giddy. We're like 2 little kids walking around. We go for walks all the time.
Yeah. I've seen you out walking.
Italians call it passeggiata, where they go out for a stroll before dinner or after dinner. And, we enjoy walking along the lake shore and City Park is right there. The beach is right there. And there's 90 restaurants, bars, and cafes within a 5-minute walk.
And do you walk for groceries?
We walk for groceries. We walk to the pharmacy.
Do you still have 2 vehicles?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, I used to fill up my car with gas once every 2 weeks, and now it's once every 2 months.
Wow. What a difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference. So the price of gas is kind of inconsequential when it's every 2 months.
Exactly.
You don't really, it's whatever the price is.
And you don't miss yard work?
We don't know. The walk and leave lifestyle is great. We have kids that we have one kid that lives in the U.S., another one lives in Vancouver, another one lives here. So we're traveling to visit
different
our
places.
Grandchildren and our kids. And
now, do you wish that you had done it sooner?
We probably weren't ready to do it sooner, but it's good because for me, a lot of it was not just having the convenience of lock and leave, but it was kind of like you've collected so much stuff over the years, and it's a forced purge. It felt like a cleanse. It felt like, look, I want to simplify my lifestyle. We want to simplify our lifestyle.
And a fresh start. It's a new...
And a fresh start, and just feel like, you've got less responsibility and you can enjoy life more. I
love that.
So
Doesn't that just summarize it, hey?
Well, and it's kind of interesting. You move from the family home where it's great memories, of course, having the kids and everything, but now it's back to you two. So it's kind of exciting to pick out your own everything that you want. And it's, I can
enjoy
see that.
life a little more.
Yeah.
Well, this has been phenomenal. Been so interesting talking about the buildings, the vision of Mission Group, the excitement towards the future, because it's a legacy company. You're not stopping. You didn't tell us any of your secrets of where next, but we're sure you've got the feelers out there.
If you have any secrets of where next that you can share,
we're hoping to start construction on our first rental apartment tower downtown.
Yes.
On Bertram. So
yes,
it's at 1333 Bertram. So that's happening. And we've also got a great piece of property right beside the UBC downtown.
Wow.
The old Daily Courier site, 550 Doyle.
Yes.
And that'll be a rental building and a for sale condo building as well. And we're working on another one that is right across from Rod's.
Oh,
wow.
On Water Street. So that'll be Those will probably be offered to the market maybe late 2023 or early 2024. So it takes a lot to plan these and
to go through the approval process.
Work through the approval. So
and Mission Group, again, going all the way back to looking at Verve or Mission Shores or some of your earlier developments. I think you guys really do a better job than any of the other developers that I've seen of really doing your research ahead of time and really figuring out where the need is in the market and then
also following through. I mean, we've been fortunate. We've worked together and we've purchased some of the developments from Mission Group in the past. We had a place in the Mode. And, the follow-up through when we take completion, it's not just, oh, here's your keys, see you later. It's the follow-up afterwards. Yeah. I was so impressed, and that was whenever Mode was. That was quite a few years ago. But I was so impressed that it was the follow-up afterwards. And, oh, Kate, you need a little bit of this? No problem. We're going to send our crew and we'll go and get that. So, all in all, I think you're a company that stands behind your name. You will be here forever. And we're so lucky to have Mission Group, I think, here in the Okanagan. So
I agree.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing what other developments you have.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Estate for Real People. If you want to reach out to the Stone Sisters, visit www.stonesisters.com. This podcast was produced by Podigy Podcasts. See you next time.